Hello everyone, welcome back to Chronicle IS Academy. My name is Saloni Nankyoliar and I welcome you to the fifth lecture of our policy analysis series, where today we're going to discuss the topic of freedom of speech in India. Now this is a fundamental right and it's a very important topic for both prelims and mains. It's important for GS paper 2 of polity and governance and also paper 4 of ethics and integrity. So let's get started. Let us start by understanding what freedom of speech is and what does our constitution say about it. So freedom of speech is a fundamental right that has been granted by the Indian constitution to the Indian citizens, which means we have the right to express ourselves in the form of speech and art, digital media, social media, different forms of expression. And this is covered under Article 19, Clause 1. So there are 6 different types of freedoms that are granted by the constitution, and they are the freedom of speech and expression, Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, where we can express our views in the form of speech, writing, art, press, and digital media. Subclause B, we have the freedom to assemble peacefully, which means we have the right to protest but without arms. Then we also have the freedom to form associations, so we can form unions, political groups, everything in a peaceful manner. We also have the freedom to move freely, so we can travel anywhere within the country. We can travel anywhere within the country. We can also reside. We can also settle down anywhere in the country. And we can also practice any profession or any trade, any lawful profession within the country. So these are the 6 different types of freedom that have been mentioned in the Constitution. Let's take a look at it again. The freedom of speech and expression, the freedom to assemble peacefully, freedom to form associations, freedom to move freely, freedom to reside anywhere in India, and freedom to practice any profession and trade. Now, is all this, is this an absolute right, or are there any restrictions that can be imposed on this? So this is not an absolute right. Article 19 has some reasonable restrictions that can be imposed by the state. In this case, the government of India, it can impose reasonable restrictions under certain scenarios. And what these scenarios are: if there is a freedom of speech or expression that is hampering the sovereignty and integrity of the country, which means if there's any speech that's undermining the unity of the country, it talks about dividing the country, it talks about fragmenting the country, the government can impose restrictions on that speech. If there is a speech that's hampering the security of the country, so if there's a speech that's inciting a war or rebellion, so if there is something that's inciting violence, war or rebellion, the government can impose restrictions on that speech. If there is a speech that is passing inflammatory or derogatory remarks against a country with which India has friendly relations with, so even in that case, the government can impose restrictions on that kind of a speech. If there is a public order that's inciting communal violence, so communal violence is a type of violence or is a clash or a riot that originates due to religious group conflicts. So when 2 different kinds of religions or multiple religions, they clash amongst each other, that leads to communal violence. So if there's a public order that leads to an incitement of communal violence, in that case also the government can impose reasonable restrictions. If there is a speech that is, indecent or immoral, so if there is a speech that has been made that's obscene, that's vulgar, that's immoral, even in that case, the government can impose restrictions on that speech. If there is a contempt of court, so if there are any derogatory remarks, any inflammatory remarks that have been made against the judiciary, the Supreme Court, the High Court, in that case, the government can impose restrictions on that speech. If there is any defamation that's being done, so if any speech is being made that's that's hampering the personal reputation of a person, in that case the government can impose restrictions. And if there's any incitement to offense, so if there's any hate speech, if there's any terrorism propaganda, in that case also the government can impose restrictions, because we do not want people to spread hate speech, to spread terrorist activities, to incite violence and offenses. So in all these scenarios, in all these 8 categories, the government can impose restrictions on your freedom of speech and expression. Okay. Now, there is a thin line between regulation and censorship. So we definitely want to regulate this right, the freedom of speech and expression. It's not an absolute right, but we do not want to censor everything. Like, we do not want to suppress the opinion of people. And there's a very thin line between regulation and censorship. Censorship was something that we already saw during the time of 1975 emergency, where all sorts of media, all sorts of newspaper and everything, they were censored. People were not allowed to express express their opinion or criticize the government. Opposition leaders, they were put behind the bars. So all forms of, criticism was basically curtailed. So we do not want that. What we want is a regulation, is policies, is proper policies to be in place so that we can, we can minimize the hate speech or terrorist propaganda or anything immoral or indecent that is being said or being put out in the public space. Yeah. Now, one example is the misuse of sedition law. So this is an example of censorship. Sedition law is an unpopular law that's there, that's prevalent right now, wherein anybody who wants to, who criticizes the government can be put under the category of sedition and can be tried for that. And that's not something that's healthy for a democracy like India or for any country. So that's not something that we want. But unfortunately, this law still exists. What we need is a reform in this law, which means we do not want censorship. What we want is a regulation. Now, I want to discuss a case study here which can be important for your GS paper 4, which is Ranbir Ahlawadia's remarks that he made, some obscene and immoral remarks that he made towards parents and the Indian society. So it did not sit well with anybody, obviously, for obvious reasons. So what happened here is, in this controversy, there was a popular influencer, Ranbir Ahlawadia, who faced severe backlash because he made obscene comments, vulgar comments against the parents. And due to this, he faced a massive outrage on social media. People called him for disrespecting family values and everything. And this led to a cancel culture or boycott. Now, cancel culture is a term that I want you to pay attention to. So cancel culture is something that is a situation wherein we start unfollowing somebody. We stop looking up to that person due to some unpopular thing or immoral thing that the person did or said. So this led to cancel culture. This also led to boycotts. So there were demands to unfollow him and stop watching his content. But the bigger question here is that this raised concerns over influencer responsibilities when speaking on sensitive topics. Now, this is a very popular term right now. That's influencer. Influencer, as the name suggests, is somebody who influences people. Now, we cannot be sure of everybody's intent here. A good influence, like anybody's good influence, can have positive influence on a person. Somebody's influence can also have a negative influence on the person. So the bigger question that came here was that it raised concerns over the influencer responsibilities. Like, who is regulating what these people are saying? What is the content that's being put out? Are there any regulations right now in place? So unfortunately, there are not. There are not a lot of regulations that's there in place. However, there are some things like Article 19, it allows restrictions on speech for reasons of decency and morality. There are IT rules of 2021 where influencers must adhere to guidelines ensuring no offensive content. And then there were Supreme Court judgments on obscenity, where Avik Sarkar and Bobby Art International, in both these cases, the Supreme Court made it clear that, if there's any speech or expression that's obscene, that's vulgar, that's immoral, the government has the right to take legal actions against that thing and, curtail that speech. So, did Ranbir Ahlawadiya, did he have the freedom to express his opinions? Yes. He could have said whatever he wanted to say. But the question here is, was that ethical? Should that be said without having any ethical or moral responsibilities towards the society? So the answer is no. There should be ethical obligations that these influencers, the content creators, and every citizen basically needs to keep in mind while passing any remark. And why does digital speech need more accountability? Like, why are we discussing this case specifically? So digital speech is a kind of speech or any kind of expression that's made through social media platforms. So if there's anybody expressing themselves through social media platforms of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and all sorts of different social media platforms, that becomes digital speech. And digital speech is widely accessible. So everybody has access to their phones, to the internet, and anybody today can decide, to put out any content that they want out in the public space. So it's because it's widely accessible, that is why it needs to be the most accountable and have proper regulations, proper oversight over what's being said in the public space. So influencer culture and unchecked speech, this is something that's common. That's something that we're seeing. And there are no clear guidelines on on online obscenity. You will be surprised to know that these big social media platforms like YouTube, like Instagram, you can go ahead and check their websites and their privacy agreements. They do not have very heavy regulations or very heavy oversight in place. Like they are operating with minimum regulations and with minimum restrictions. That was the reason that such a content could go out to the public space, and that is why it faced severe backlash. So what we need to have right now, we need to have proper regulations from the government side, and from citizens side, we need to be very careful of what we are saying and how are we exercising this freedom of speech and expression, because ultimately it can definitely hamper your career. It can harm your career, and in this case, this happened with Ranveer as well. And this is like just one of the cases. There are multiple cases in the contemporary world right now. So this can hamper careers. This can affect the mental health of these people, and this can have a negative influence on our youth. So it's a very sensitive, it's a very critical topic, and we need to be very careful of what we are saying and how are we influencing other people. Okay. Yeah. Now, I want you to compare India with a couple of other countries on the basis of this freedom of speech and expression that we enjoy. And again, you'll be surprised that not every country in the world has this freedom of speech and expression for its citizens. So there are a couple of countries that are operating with zero or limited freedom of speech and expression. And you cannot imagine yourself living in a country, living in an environment where you cannot express your opinions, where you cannot criticize the government, you cannot provide constructive feedback, you cannot say what you feel like saying. It's like living in a jail but without bars. So one country is North Korea, no surprises here. North Korea has a complete government control over media, and dissent is punishable by death. Now, I want you to look at the gravity of the situation here. If there is a dissent, if somebody is criticizing the government, it is punishable by death. So you lose your life. It's a very serious thing. In China, the social media is heavily censored. Government monitors all online speech. So China has banned a lot of social media platforms. It has its own search engines. There are many things that are not freely accessible to its citizens, because it's heavily monitoring all kinds of social media, all kinds of internet, all kinds of things that are there on the internet. Russia also has a state pressure on independent media and severe defamation laws. So there's a huge state pressure that this has on the media, and if there's anything that's said against the state, the people can face severe defamation laws against them, defamation actions against them. And even in Saudi Arabia, critics and bloggers are jailed and no protests are allowed. Now, can you imagine yourself living in a situation, living in a country where you cannot protest against anything in a peaceful manner? You cannot voice your opinions. I cannot, and I don't think anybody would want to live in such a world. So we need to be grateful. We need to be fortunate and blessed about this right that we have. And at the same time, we need to be responsible about how we are using it. Because if India did not have any free speech, there would be no independent journalism. There would be no right to criticize the government policies. There will be no protests allowed. There will be internet censorship. And this is something that we saw in 1975 emergency, which I already discussed, that the press was censored. We do not want these things. So we want our right to be regulated. We do not want people's voices to be suppressed. So the duty falls on both government and the citizens, where government needs to have proper regulations, proper policies, and the citizens need to be more careful about how they are expressing themselves. All right, this brings us to the end of the topic. Let's quickly summarize what we learned so far. So freedom of speech is a fundamental right. Yes, we saw that. This is covered under Article 19, Clause 1. And there are 6 different types of freedom that have been covered in the Constitution. We discussed all of that. Now, India needs to balance free speech and regulation. We need to have reforms in our sedition law. We talked what sedition law is about. We need to have reforms in sedition law, and we need to have reforms in the IT rules, in hate speech laws. Digital speech is powerful but risky. Powerful because it's widely accessible. Anybody can decide to express their opinions, their thoughts in the public space. Risky because we do not have an oversight about what is being said and what's being communicated over the internet. So you can have all sorts of content flowing on the internet, and anybody can have access to it. So it's risky and it's powerful. It's both. Free speech has limitations. We saw that. This is covered under Article 19, Clause 2. There are 8 scenarios in which the government can impose reasonable restrictions. We discussed all that. Then we also saw some global examples to show the risk of censorship. So there are countries like China, North Korea, Russia, and Saudi Arabia that do not have, a huge amount of freedom of speech and expression. And we saw how this can hamper the life of citizens living there. So that's not something that we want for our country. So yes, this brings us to the end of the discussion here. We saw why this right is very important. It's a fundamental right. Why is it important? What is the responsibility that the citizens have? And what is the need of the hour for the government here? I hope you were able to understand all this. And until we meet the next time, please keep studying and keep analyzing. Thank you.